Welcome to the Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 meeting of the Long Meadow School Committee. Mass General Law allows for remote participation at public meetings until June 30th, 2027. All votes while there is remote participation must be made by roll call vote. This meeting is being recorded and aired live on LCTV. School committee members, when I call your name, please say here for the record. Nicole?
Here.
Kate?
Here.
Jamie?
Here.
And that's it. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Correspondence.
Thank you. We have two emails from Michelle Hong dated February 3rd and February 8th. Two emails from Christine Cronledge dated February 3rd and two emails from Christine Cronledge dated February 4th. An email from Kara Downey dated February 3rd. An email from May and Dennis O dated February 4th.
Thank you. We have no minutes for tonight to be approved, so next we have public speak. Is there anyone here tonight for the public speak?
I don't know if that's
Yeah,
me.
sure. Go ahead, Andrea.
So, hi.
Hi.
I'm Andrea Chasen. Do you need my address?
Please.
So, yes, 236 Crestview Circle, Long Meadow. Been a resident here for 38 years, going on a long time. Anyway, tonight I come to you as chair of the Energy and Sustainability Committee and ask you to help support the February 25th showing of a movie called Plastics People, which is the hidden crisis of microplastics. And we're showing it at the Long Meadow High School auditorium. And doors are opening at 6, and the movie will begin promptly at 6:30 and be followed by a moderated panel with questions and answers that will last about 45 minutes. The movie itself is 84 minutes, so we should all be out of there before 9 o'clock. We're also, there's a snow date of March 17th. Let's hope there's no snow that night. We're going to be offering childcare if you register, and there's a poster that's been presented, and Dr. O'Shea, I think you've received a copy of the poster?
Yes.
Great. There's a QR code. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. Just confirming we did receive it, and it is posted on our e-board, and some of the principals have also sent it out directly. So we're pushing the message out for you.
Thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate that because I feel like we're hosting a party and I don't know who's going to be coming. But in any event, this is quite a coalition of Long Meadow committees and organizations, and it includes, as I said, Energy and Sustainability, the Long Meadow High School Climate Change Club. The Key Club will be offering childcare for registered children, Recycling Commission, the Conservation Commission, First Church Environmental Justice Team, the Sinai Temple Social Action Committee, St. Mary's Parish, Transitions, and the Long Meadow Democratic Town Committee. And Parks and Rec is also helping us with this too. So it's quite a significant event, and our hope for outcomes of this is one, education of people about what's happening with the use of plastics. As you all may know, they don't decompose, they just continually break down into smaller and smaller and smaller micro pieces. And they're showing up in everywhere from the fish we eat, to the soil that grows our food, to the animals that we eat in our own bodies. They're present everywhere. And I've seen pictures of microplastics. If you dust your house, you're going to find microplastics in it. So we don't, and it's showing up in mother's milk and placentas. So that's pretty ubiquitous. And what we want to encourage people to do is there'll be information provided to all attendees about how they can begin to reduce plastics, the importance of recycling, and ultimately looking at the use of plastics within our community and hopefully having an impact on both commercial and non-commercial entities about reducing plastic use. So any questions? I'm not sure if I did justice to what I'm asking, but Emily, perhaps you can also help with this.
Yeah, so Andrea has been instrumental in making sure that we've got some good awareness for the event coming up, and we'll just go ahead and plug it here again and make sure that we can get some good attendance and some good partnership.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
And thank you, Emily. And thank you for your work in engaging the schools with this important topic. Is there anybody else here?
We're hoping that the Climate Change Club, who is meeting tonight as well, will have one of their young people on the panel to talk about the importance of the planet for them. They're very involved and committed, and so they're toying with the idea of actually having a presence on the panel, which would be great.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Is there anyone else here tonight for public speak? Online? No. All right. Next is school committee announcements and recognitions. Does anyone have any announcements or recognitions? All right. So, and our business with guests is being postponed, so now we'll move on to the public hearing of the proposed budget.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to present the administrative recommendation for the FY27 budget. This is the budget to support our activities during the 26-27 school year. And as the school committee can see, but perhaps folks at home may not be able to see, that our entire administrative team is here. I'm grateful that they were able to attend tonight. We bring this recommendation to you as an administrative team. I'm really fortunate to work with such an amazing team with such an array of talents and perspectives, and we try to align our activities, align our goals, our school goals, our district goals, so that when it comes time to put the budget together, some of the harder questions are answered. So I thank them for their attendance here. Really, really fortunate to have them as teammates in our work. Mr. Mazza, of course, as the committee knows, has been deeply involved in putting together the details of this recommendation. There are detailed documents that have been made available to the committee and made available to the public as well. And so also thanks to the town manager and the finance director for their assistance in helping us shape this budget. Our intention always is to bring forward a budget that is educationally effective, but is also conscious of the fiscal challenges that the town is facing as well. So it represents a budget that I believe is very much aligned with our goals, but is also manageable to the town. So quick look at our budget calendar. As the committee knows, this is a long journey. We're at the early stages of developing the budget for the FY27 for the 26-27 school year. Still many moving parts, and budgets can evolve right up to and even into a given school year. Our job tonight is to present to you our best understanding of projected costs and anticipated revenue. So we are at the public hearing stage of the budget. The committee will have one more opportunity to deliberate and potentially vote on the budget on February 24th. This, as you know, is a budget that represents a revision from the recommendation that we made on February 3rd. This recommendation is $174,000 below the recommendation that we made last week. The reason for that is that subsequent to the budget presentation last week, we learned that the Scannick Valley Regional Health Trust had voted to increase health insurance rates on active employees by 11.2%, and so that was beyond what the town had originally projected, and it really is reflective of the pressure that health insurance costs are putting on municipal budgets and state budgets. and federal budgets everywhere. So we had to be responsive to that. I'm pleased to say that tonight's recommendation, it will not impact direct service. I use that phrase, direct service, very intentionally. There are some reductions that we can discuss as the presentation rolls on, but our intention, anytime we have to make some adjustments to the budget, if it's a downward adjustment, we want to keep those, we want to keep the effects as far away from direct service as possible. And so that was our intention, and that's reflected in the revised presentation tonight. We'll get into the details as we move along. So all of these figures are new based on the recommendation, the revised recommendation. This would increase the contribution of the town's general fund to Longmeadow Public Schools by $1,077,536 over FY26, and you'll see that the total budget, when you factor in special revenue, is about $1.1 million over FY26. So we think that this is a manageable proposal that is, again, reflective of the challenges that the town is facing. To think about it in terms of percentages, this is a 2.6% increase in the contribution from the general fund to Longmeadow Public Schools over FY26. The overall budget would increase by 2.47%, and we'll talk a little bit about how those figures relate to historic increases. To set a very broad context for the budget, I really want to use this opportunity to convey to the committee and to the wider community that this budget is a reflection of our strategic priorities, that the allocations within this budget are reflective of the goals that are depicted here, the professional development that we organize, the resources that are allocated, the staffing decisions that we make. All of these things are driven by the strategic priorities that are captured in our district improvement plan. I'm really proud that the goals of the school committee are very much in line with the goals of the district, which are very much in line with the goals of the school, and are in turn aligned with the goals of our individual educators. So everything is driven by the strategic priorities that are depicted here. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have towards the end of the presentation. We also want to convey to the community that we take our responsibility to be stewards of the budget very, very seriously. I have a great administrative team that is always actively chasing down opportunities to enhance the budget through non-entitlement grants. Entitlement grants are those that we're entitled to simply by application to the federal government or the state. But there's a variety of sources of non-entitlement grants that fuel our work as well. The Drug-Free Communities Grant that the committee heard about a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Nilde Irizarry, our Director of Student and Family Support, was the author of a hate crimes prevention grant that's driving some important work for us. Nick George is with us. He's our Technology Director. Nick has been actively pursuing cybersecurity awareness training grants. Dr. Beth Nelson, our Curriculum Director, always seeking out ways to advance professional development and secure high-quality curriculum materials through grants as well. So across the board, we're always looking for opportunities to enhance the budget that is provided to us largely by local taxpayers. Efficiency is very important to us, and I know to the committee, one of the things that, sort of the marching orders that we've received from the committee is to ensure that we have a multi-year curriculum review cycle so that we can properly plan for those adoptions. And Dr. Nelson, working with the curriculum subcommittee, has put us in a great position for that. We have introduced Panorama, which I think is a tool that helps us with our workflow in terms of identifying student needs. It's a centralized place to hold academic, attendance, SEL, and behavioral data. We're at the early stages of our use of Panorama, but it's going to become increasingly powerful in the years ahead. Dr. Nelson, again, to her credit, has done a nice job of kind of making sure that we're properly accounting for and managing all the software subscriptions. You'll recall during COVID, it was sort of the wild, wild west in terms of the adoption out of necessity of a variety of software tools, but we're trying to make sure that we're being strategic and focused in the use of software across the district, aligning curriculum, responding to enrollment patterns, and credit to Nicole Paris-Crowe, our Director of Special Education, who's always seeking opportunities to serve kids better by building in-district programs, and we certainly, that's something that is a continual pursuit for us. All of these things make education better, but they also make us more efficient. All of these things help us work smarter across the board. Again, on the operational side, kind of a credit to Nick George for doing such a great job of working with town officials to make sure that we're managing the detection of cyber threats and that we're able to respond to those. Nick has introduced some improved workflows on the technology side. We're managing more and more devices nowadays, and I think about the number of devices and network points that we manage now compared to where we were 10 years ago. It's exploded. And all these things make for a more robust experience for staff and students, but it's more for our tech team to manage, and they've done a nice job of creating efficient ways to respond to end users, efficient ways to manage the fleet of devices that exist across the district and on the town side. We're always looking for ways to work smarter. Tammy Welcome, our new assistant to the school committee and to the superintendent, has been working tirelessly over the last 2 months probably, working towards a fully online approach to student registration. I'm really pleased to say it's live, it's a go, and we're receiving registrations from the class of 2039. I can't believe I'm saying that, but 2039, future kindergartners. And then we've begun to really tighten up the partnership with the DPW. We've invited DPW officials to our administrative meetings on a semi-regular basis, and they've invited us to have access to their cloud-based work order system. Again, these things, we're always trying to refine our responses so that we're working more efficiently. Again, trying to convey that it's important to us that the community knows we take our stewardship of the tax dollars that we are fortunate to receive very, very seriously. Outside partnerships, again, looking across the administrative team, each of our directors in their own way has established partnerships with Bay Path University. That's something that we want to expand on. The Collaborative for Educational Services has provided some critical training for us. And then looking around the bend to the opening of the new middle school in 2028, I believe that that's really a huge opportunity for us to work smarter rather than harder. It's an opportunity for us to create some operational efficiencies and be more educationally effective at the same time. So, we talk a lot about teaching and learning, but I would want the committee to know, that behind the scenes that we're always working to increase our effectiveness. And I feel like there's plenty that we can point to. Just to step back in terms of some context, in terms of the revenue expenditures and return on investment, I'm really proud to see the return that this community receives on the investment that they make in Longmeadow Public Schools. And so some high-level data to share and explain that to you. I want to start by just talking about the building blocks of a school budget. At the base is Chapter 78. This is the main source of aid that we receive from the state of Massachusetts. It's about a $7 million plus source of revenue to Longmeadow Public Schools in the town of Longmeadow. Every town is assigned a minimum local contribution. That's basically based on your ability to pay. So it's based on the wealth and the tax base of a particular town. Every town has a minimum local contribution. Those two things combine to establish a foundation budget. Most communities in Massachusetts, nearly all, spend above that foundation budget. They spend above what is minimally required. And I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like in Long Meadow. And then on top of that is everything from grants to user fees to other sources of revenue, even gate receipts. So all of these things combine to build the LPS school budget. So what does that look like here in Long Meadow? You'll see in the orange is Chapter 70 aid. So again, we're anticipating about $7.3 million from the state in Chapter 70, or excuse me, goes back to FY25. This is the last year that the figures were fully complete and baked and available to us. FY25, we received $7.3 million in Chapter 70 aid. The above minimum contribution, the minimum contribution in Long Meadow was that $27 million figure, and then $14 million represented the above minimum contribution. What the story this tells, I believe, is that it's showing with that top line, the minimum local contribution, it's showing the increased cost of doing business, the increased costs associated with running a school district in Massachusetts. What I think we ought to pay some attention to is that flat line in the middle, which is the above minimum local contribution. We're fortunate that Long Meadow spends considerably above what is minimally required, but that increase is starting to flatten out relative to the increase in the minimum amount that is required. So hoping that makes sense. Happy to spend a little bit more time on that if you have any questions. How does our minimum local contribution compare to the minimum local contribution across the state? So you'll see that on average, communities spend about 25% above what is minimally required. Long Meadow is in the 40% above what is minimally required, but that number has crept down in the fiscal years that I'm showing you here. So again, it's simply to say that that amount that you spend above what is minimally required, I believe that's where excellence lies. Like, that's where you can really achieve comparative excellence. And so I think it's something that we just need a trend that perhaps we need to sort of keep our eyes on. Now, what are we anticipating for Chapter 70 in FY27? You'll see that the governor's budget that was released at the end of January has us receiving just $75 per student increase in Chapter 78. That's only a 2.58% increase. Again, what's the story here? I believe the story is that increase doesn't really keep pace with the cost of doing business. It's a $75 per student. That's the minimum amount that a district can receive. About 200 or so districts are in the same boat as us in terms of only receiving the bare minimum increase in Chapter 78. Will that number go up? It's possible as the legislative process wears on. It's possible that we might see that increase go up. In terms of the gross amount that we receive in Chapter 78 from the state, you'll see that it has increased in recent years. I would credit the state for making a considerable effort to increase Chapter 70 aid, but the fact is that it hasn't kept pace with inflation. It hasn't kept pace with the pressure points in our budget and other communities' budgets that I'll show you shortly. Every community in Massachusetts is put into by the state, put into a cohort of districts based on similar levels of wealth, similar tax base. This is a cohort that Long Meadow is assigned to. What I would say is that this suggests that we're getting a lot of bang for our buck here in Long Meadow. I would say that the MCAS results that you're seeing here, that we fare well in comparison to comparable districts. Particularly pleased with the ELA and math performance at grades 3 through 8. We're outpacing comparable districts in terms of relative wealth. When you look at our performance relative to area districts, I think it tells a similar story. This is, I suppose, more expected. But I would want to highlight the amount of spending on a per pupil basis for in-district expenditures. In Long Meadow, in 2024, again, the last fiscal year where this information was available to us, where it was kind of digested by the state reports, Long Meadow was, at that year, $17,708 we were spending on a per pupil basis for in-district expenditures, less than neighboring districts, but our performance in most cases has been higher. The last bit of context I want to provide for you so that you can make an informed decision and think deliberately about the budget relates to enrollment and class size. Historic enrollment, Long Meadow, like other communities, experiencing a decline in enrollment. We're seeing that across Massachusetts, across the Northeast. This is not just a Long Meadow concern. Our decline has not been as precipitous as the decline that we've seen in other communities, but it is something that we have been responsive to. As enrollment has declined, so too has our staffing levels, and you'll see that in a slide later on. So we try to be responsive to changing enrollment patterns. Looking ahead, projected enrollment, we're not expecting to see a significant upturn or downturn. This information is provided to us by the New England School Development Council. They annually do an enrollment projection for us. So these are figures that we're looking at when we're making decisions about staffing, particularly in the early elementary grades. Current enrollment, not including students who are placed out of district, 2,723 students. You'll see that the size of the cohorts in the early grades is smaller than the size of the cohorts in the later grades, generally. Some exceptions there, but generally that's the case. Those cohorts do tend to grow as they make their way through our schools, so that 166 that you're seeing in kindergarten, it's likely that that cohort will be larger by the time they make it to LHS. I doubt that it will get to the levels that the class cohort sizes that we're seeing at Long Meadow High currently. What this budget will project in terms of elementary class size, I know this is an important value for the committee. It has been an important driver of our budget decisions to ensure that we are creating manageable, advantageous class size. And I think this budget does provide for manageable, advantageous class sizes. This could change. Enrollment can shift, of course, from February to September when we're up and running, but generally we have class sizes that really work for our students and our educators at the elementary level. So, on to the recommendation. To repeat a slide you saw earlier, the anticipated increase from the general fund, $1,077,536 over FY26. You'll see the increase in the total budget is depicted on the bottom line. Again, percentage-wise, what does that represent? A 2.6% increase from the general fund is the recommended figure for you tonight, and then the total budget would increase with this recommendation by 2.47%. How does that increase in the general fund compare to historic increases? So this goes back about a dozen years or so. So you'll see that the increase that we are anticipating or recommending we receive from the Town of Long Meadow General Fund is at 2.6%, falls in line with where we've been historically. Same information depicted in chart form for you. I'd say that these have been, I might even use the word modest increases in our budget over the years. When I talk to area superintendents and I talk to them about the increases that they are projecting or anticipating, quite frankly, really goes beyond what we're seeing here. And I just simply credit that to the way that we're able to make wise use of the budget that is available to us. So that is critically important, that, you know, we're investing where it makes a difference. And again, I think the increases that you're seeing are generally modest and have been manageable over the years to the town. We always want to be cognizant of the fiscal position of the town. By fund source, you'll see that we are largely heavily reliant on the general fund. We're just over 92% of our funding comes from the town's general fund. Inside of that general fund number, of course, is the Chapter 70 fund that we talked about earlier. Circuit Baker, some entitlement grants round out the funding sources for our budget. Now, this is perhaps the most important slide. This is the revised set of recommendations, revised from the recommendation that we provided you last week. We will have to pay particular attention to hiring and be very cognizant that we are hiring folks who kind of fit within the parameters of this budget. So I'm on the left side, the reductions. So we do have a significant number of educators who are retiring, and so there are some natural savings that come with retirement of individuals and replacing them with folks who are lower on our negotiated salary schedules. Anticipating a slight reduction in transportation services. Out-of-district tuitions, we're anticipating a decrease as well. Again, we try to be very thoughtful about serving students in district to ensure that they're being educated, you know, in the most inclusive way possible, but also the most cost-effective way possible. One change on the left side here, that this recommended budget will not allow us to fill a vacant elementary academic coaching position. So I'd say that's one of the biggest hits to the FY27 budget. That was not identified as a reduction last week, but as we sat down to think about reductions that we could bring to you that were, you know, not involved in direct service, that was a position that we had identified. If we were down the road, if things broke more favorably in our favor, that is a position that perhaps we'd want to come back to the committee and talk to you about restoring that academic coaching position. Those coaching positions have been really critical to support educators and to make sure that we're implementing curriculum with fidelity and in ways that are supportive of the demands that are on our elementary educators. On the right side, call your attention to the fact that this budget will allow us to meet our negotiated contractual obligations. The number that also should jump off the page at you is the increase that we are anticipating in utilities. Everybody gets this. Any homeowner, anybody who is responsible for heat, electric bills, you understand that we're having the same experience here in Long Meadow Public Schools. So that's an increase that goes way beyond what we have ever seen in terms of projected utility expenditures. We are expecting an increase in software and IT services. Again, more devices, more users, more reliance on software. We can break that down for you with some additional detail if it would be helpful. The other increases relate to instructional supplies and software, making sure that we have, in particular, the elementary curriculum expenditures, that we have an allotment for that. We have an opportunity to bring on a physical therapist while lowering our dependence on a physical therapy assistant on the left-hand side of the column here. And then some other modest increases that we are anticipating. Substitute costs have continued to grow. That number is lower than what the increase that we had projected for you last week. So we know we're going to have to tighten our belt and be really sort of cognizant of the amount of coverage that we need in our classrooms. So I wouldn't call this a level service budget, but I can confidently say that this won't have any direct impact on the services that we provide, the programming that we provide to students. Thought this was helpful just to give you some sense of the cost centers that we have to, you'll see that we are in a people business. Nearly 80% of our costs are tied to salaries. The next biggest chunk, it relates to the provision of special education services to students. And then other utilities, that gray wedge has grown. The orange transportation wedge has grown in recent years as well. That was a big pressure point for us last year, you'll recall. A lot of those costs haven't gone away. We are expecting to see some modest decreases in our transportation costs, but it has grown regularly over the years. And then this again depicts another pressure point for us, the increasing costs of utilities, electricity and natural gas. The FY27 proposed budget compared to the FY26 budget, you'll see the dramatic increase from 26 budgeted to 27 budgeted. Staffing, this will decrease staffing from the FY26 budget, and it will decrease staffing from the revised FY26 budget as well. So again, when you look back to, let's say, FY23, when we had the equivalent of 470, nearly 471 employees, that number has declined. It has shrunk as our enrollment has declined as well. So I think that's important for folks to understand that we are responsive to changing enrollment patterns. And then again, a wrap up at that with this high level summary that I've shown a few times. And again, I'd say, I know this is a slide that is important to Mr. Hench. I think he recalls this one and brings this, resurfaces to one, as the budget season unfolds. But on the left-hand side are still some of the unknowns. Health insurance is still a variable because we still don't have the rates for retired employees. We have a projected rate for active employees, the town does. Enrollment can change. We have 2 agreements that we will need to finalize, hopefully before the beginning of the FY27 fiscal year. Federal grants, there's some uncertainty at the federal level, as you know. Special education services and programming, morally, ethically, legally, we need to be responsive to the needs of special education students. Final state aid levels, unknown. Committee still needs to make some decisions on fee-based services. These wouldn't have a huge impact, huge swing on the budget, but fee-based services, busing, preschool, athletics, and then finally the number of school choice and METCO students that we receive. On the right-hand side, what are some strategic targets if we were in a position to make additional investments? If some things broke our way, what would we want to consider? Some of those items are on the right-hand side. Making sure that we're investing in that MTSS framework, fully funding athletics. I know this has been an elusive target for us, but athletics is, as you know, as our parents know, as our staff knows, it's really funded to a considerable degree with user fees and gate receipts and the generosity of booster clubs. So that's something that we feel like we could make a stronger effort in that area. Career and professional development. Really, Nicole Paris-Grow is just something that she talks to us a lot about, is making sure that we have, are we creating a pipeline from the paraprofessional position into teaching positions. That's something that we would like to support as well. Fully funding curriculum renewal, instructional coaching, onboarding, substitute teaching. These are all strategic targets that we would like to hit if, let's say, the budget broke more in our favor and we were in a position to make some additional investments. So, again, the calendar, plenty in front of us. This will culminate with the annual town meeting on May 12th. And we've been in regular communication with the town manager to make sure that we understand the town's needs and to make sure the town understands the position that we're in here as well. That's it. And invite your questions, your feedback, if there's additional information you need. We've got a whole bunch of administrators that are eager to answer any questions that you might have. I'm kidding. But we stand ready to take any questions you have or go back to any slides, and if there's additional information you need before you vote on the budget in a couple of weeks, we can pull that together as well. So thank you for your patience. 36.
It's awesome.
Thank you, Dr. O'Shea, for the informative budget presentation. And I just want to say thank you to all the administrators and the central office, including Tammy, because it shows that there's a real all-hands-on-deck approach that's been worked and collaborated on all year. And it's super impressive because in a time where things are not very good for many schools and they're facing a lot of cuts and funding and increases in health insurance and utilities, you've managed to work together to provide a budget where the impact isn't affecting students. And even like the elementary school sizes staying between 16 to 22 kids is very impressive to me. I know I've taught elementary school for a long time, and whenever there was budgets like this, my class got up to about 29 students. So I'm super impressed by this, and I just wanted to start with that. Does anybody else have? Yeah.
You can go first. You good?
Sure. No, I mean, I was going to add on to what you said. I know the last week especially, suddenly thinking about where to find another $175,000 plus is not a small feat. So thank you all for teaming up and finding a way to come together and find ways to make that number happen without student-facing results. I did have one question that I suspect Tom is maybe the person to answer. Can you talk about the transportation and why we're anticipating a slight reduction there?
Yeah, it's really based on utilization for our special ed students. So every year the collaborative gives us the assessment for what the next year's budget will be, and they base it on current ridership. So we see a slight decline in our special education ridership based on current ridership. So that's really where the decrease is coming from overall in our transportation, because our regular ed transportation, although the routes are staying, the number of routes staying the same, costs are increasing to provide the services. But we're seeing about a half a bus reduction in special ed based on ridership.
Great.
Does that also relate to the savings in $95,000 getting?
No, that would be associated to tuitions. So that's a separate cost center. But again, it's based on at least our best guess in students in terms of their placements and the programs they're in, and the cost associated with those specific placements.
Thank you. Jamie?
Yep. Can you just go, and thank you for the 36 minutes as well as the very thorough
About
record.
36 slides.
36
Probably
slides.
more than
It was,
36.
I think it was
No, it
less
was
than
about 36
36
minutes.
Oh, really? Wow.
I was keeping
That must
track.
be lucky.
So-
It's a minute per
Can you
slide.
go to the energy slide real quick? I just want to make sure.
Yep.
So on that energy side, am I reading this right? Is that we're budgeting up, but we're budgeting down from the actuals?
Yeah, I mean,
So you're kind of taking a chance there?
A bit. It's been a very cold winter. Our natural gas consumption has been higher than what we've seen in prior years. So I'm hopeful that it doesn't reach the utilization that we're seeing this year in FY27. So yes, we are taking a bit of a hedge that our consumption won't be
We'll go down.
as high, correct?
So our actuals, we're guessing that's going to go down. We're
Hoping,
guessing
yes.
our budget's going to go up based off of where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, the driver really in that is the increase in the cost to purchase the electricity and natural gas over about a 12-month period from November of 24 to November of 25, our natural gas unit price went up by about 47%. And our electricity price has increased by about 42% in the last 3 years, from the last contract to our current one. So that's really what's driving that. I mean, our consumption, although we track it, has been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Some fluctuations from year to year depending upon temperatures, but it's not. It's more the per unit cost that we're seeing the increase that's driving the bottom line increase for our utilities.
And then just my second question, if it's okay.
Of course.
Just on the athletics, just so everybody follows the little line going through, that 15 grand wasn't covering all of it. So on there, just this past year, just so everybody was here, I think we put either 215 or 230 from the general fund
Correct.
into it to cover it. The fees did not cover, because the fees covered about 255, 260,000 in that range.
Yeah, the attempt was to increase the allocation of the general fund to supplement what we receive from user fees and gate receipts. It's short. It's been short for a number of years. This 15,000 would not have covered the full amount, but it was hopefully an incremental step. But with the need to help reduce the overall budget, we felt there was an area to level fund it where we are based on the FY26 number.
I have a question. Under contractual obligations, do these contracts account for the units that are still in mediation? And
It
the
It
cost?
made an assumption
Okay.
of where, a best guess where we hope it'll land, but, we had to put something in,
Mhm.
so we do have a placeholder, but not knowing where the final contract will settle, we put an assumption.
Worth noting that we have certainty on our largest collective bargaining agreement with our educators, with our
Yes.
teachers, so the volatility, won't be as great because we're a couple of smaller units still in negotiation.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I just have one last
Yeah,
thing
go ahead.
just to comment on too. So basically looking at this, if we got fairly lucky, I guess you can call it, with the attrition, right, this year. So without that, so kind of looking at the future years, if you don't get lucky with attrition, you can call it lucky or whatever you want to call it, to reduce that, we would be in a very difficult position right now if that did not happen, correct?
Yeah, I think you're describing it as fairly lucky is probably an understatement. We got very, very lucky.
Yeah.
It's what saved us from having a need to make staffing reductions for FY27.
Yeah.
It's a level of attrition that I don't think I've seen in my almost 20 years here. So I don't expect that to happen in FY28's budget. We had a high number of staffing changes occur, some this year, some projected for next year, but that number is probably twice, if not 3 times, I'd say, the average amount we have for attrition.
So kind of looking at next year, you got to get lucky with utilities that doesn't happen again. Contractual obligations are going to happen again. And then attrition defines kind of where we're at going into the following. Because we know what the number is going to be on contractual obligations. It's going to be that number or higher as it kind of
Yes,
continues.
that's what
Okay.
my expectation would be that, yes.
And the pressure on health insurance rates, which, ultimately constrains the town budget, which in turn constrains our budget. So that's another factor that we're kind of looking ahead to FY '28 with some apprehension.
Got it.
Yeah.
So either we increase revenues or we decrease costs, one or the other. Kind of
Yeah.
looking at next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think too, I don't have last year's slide like this in front of me, but I feel like the consumable supplies costs went down.
Yeah, in FY '26, we actually, we had to make some adjustments to balance the budget, and so we made some reductions in consumable supplies. The amount you see there is bringing it back to the FY '25 level, or 25 level, back in for '27. So it's just basically replenishing those accounts to the level that they have been budgeted at prior.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Does anyone in the public have any questions or comments? Does anyone?
No one online.
All right,
Yep.
so that's,
Thank you. So next deliberation point will be 2 weeks from now, and that'll be an opportunity for, if you feel like you're in a position to, you can potentially vote the budget, and then we would forward that to the town manager's office.
all right, so since there's no further comments or questions, we're going to close the public hearing and transition back to our open session of the February 10th, 2026 school committee meeting. Thank you for all the administrators for coming out, and your work too, your hard work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Angela Zoom?
No, just, they're not still on it. I just need to pull up a field trip.
All right,
Yep.
so, next we have the school committee chair report. And I'm just going to share some exciting things that I've noticed in the school district since last week, which is actually quite a bit. Winter sports are ending with strong seasons, and as everybody knows, I love swimming, so I'm just going to say that there was a relay over the weekend in sectionals that broke a record, and a school record and a meet record, which was really impressive. And they've been swimming, they swam for the Long Meadow Aquatic Club when they were younger as well, so we're all really proud of them. And there was also many concerts at all the different levels, and I got to talk to kids about their concerts and performing, and they felt really proud. So thank you to everyone who arranges those things that enrich our students' art lives. And then also last week, I got to go to the Grinspoon breakfast at the high school, and it was a really nice time. It's a reminder of how special that the culture is of the staff in our district, because it was all the nominators and all the nominees, and it kind of builds that tradition and keeps it really special. And congratulations to all the nominees. I think that's all I have. I'm trying to think. Oh, I hope everybody has a really great February vacation. That's it. Go ahead.
Grinspoon winners, Julia Miller, recognized as a early career educator, Wolf Swamp educator. And then we had 3 veteran educators recognized through the Grinspoon Excellence in Teaching Award Program. David Brewster from Glenbrook, Mitch Knowles, counselor at Glenbrook, and then Amanda Ericola, second grade teacher at Center School. So the prize patrol went out today, and we gave them a little swag, some balloons, some flowers, and most special was to see the reaction of their students and how excited they were there for their teachers. It was a ton of fun. So, and thank you for attending the breakfast the other day. It was a great celebration of education in Long Meadow. Beyond that, just a couple items for you. Kindergarten registration is open. We mentioned that. We have I had one other item for you. I'm drawing a blank now. That's it. Yeah. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But
Thank you.
short report tonight.
So now we'll move on to other reports. LPVEC, Board of Directors.
So I wasn't able to attend the meeting in January because there was a conflict with the building committee. But I did get a copy of the minutes, and the LPVEC is going forward with rewriting the contracts, and they're consulting with DESE, and I think that's sort of one of the big topics for them.
Thank you, Kate. LPVEC, Board of Governors.
We don't have a formal meeting until March. They are meeting tomorrow to elect a new president for the corporation. I'm not able to make it tomorrow, but our next regularly scheduled meeting is March.
Thank you, Emily. Next up is SEAL. Tomorrow night is the SEAL's monthly meeting. It's on Zoom, and it's presented by the Federation of Children with Special Needs, and it's on transitioning and everything you might need to know as a parent about the process and the law in terms of transitioning. And that's it. Energy and sustainability.
We meet this Thursday.
Awesome. Thank you. Ongoing business.
So the committee had offered pre-approval on an overnight field trip to the Mass Association of Student Councils. We have 12 students heading to the Cape on March 3rd through March 6th. And so we bring it back to you tonight for final review and approval.
Thank you. This is always really exciting because they always come and present to us after their trip. And I was in student council when I was in high school, and I feel like it's just so cool to see them and that they're more engaged and that they collaborate like with other places. So I'm happy that they get that opportunity.
And often come back with some fairly impressive
Yeah, it's always impressive.
conversations to share and new positions that they hold and
Yeah.
representing Long Meadow very well. So recommended motion, I move that the school committee approve the Student Council MASC annual field trip on March 3rd through 6th, 2026, as presented in the proposal.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And now we'll vote. Kate,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
and a yes for me too. We don't have any new business. So next on our agenda is executive session.
I move that the school committee meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation with collective bargaining with Units B and D, not to reconvene into open session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll vote. Kate,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
and a yes for me too. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.